Okay, guys. So hi, this is Kieran for GOST, which is getting our shit together. And I am here talking with Michael from his group Rising Phoenix, which is kind of a men going through divorce support group. And so, Michael, thank you for having a chat with me. And yeah, thanks for being here. Do you want to sort of lay out your stall a little bit of what it exactly is you do, and we'll go from there?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So in July of 2019, my wife left and filed for divorce, and I was devastated. Yeah, we have two children, two girls, and it was really hard on them. It was really hard on me, and I was lost. And I had some friends that helped, but there's only so much they can do, and only a handful of them had any experience in this. And it's nice to have support from people in general, but it's even better when those people have lived your experience. And so besides those two friends, I didn't see anything else out there. There was some stuff in terms of podcasts, but not a lot. And I didn't feel like there was anything that really spoke to me. So once I got to a place where I felt like I was much better off. I was healing. I wasn't healed. I still don't think I'm totally healed. I decided that it would be good to find my voice and to speak my truth in hopes that it would reach other men and give them hope and help them through this process. So I decided to start the podcast, and that also led to my decision to start a Facebook group to allow for a really interactive experience for the men, so they could come into the group and obviously talk about what they were struggling with, get support, talk about some episodes, collaborate on ideas for other episodes, and just be a holistic community for men that are going through this and try and be a resource for them.
Brilliant. No, it's interesting. Obviously, you and I were having a quick chat before we started recording, but it is fascinating because there really is a disparity, it seems to be, in the sort of support that the wife will get coming out of a situation like that, and the guy, because it's like it's sort of everything is stacked up against the guy in that way, because it's his guy mates might be funny around the situation. It's like, how do we talk about it? His emotions involved. Us as guys aren't so good at that. There's just less support structure in general.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. It's unfortunate, but it was definitely, it's a void, and it needs to be filled. And I encourage anyone that is out there that's been through a divorce to reach out to men, to start your own Facebook group or start your own podcast or do an episode on mine or whatever. Just get out there and provide support, because it's a huge disparity. A lot of people, including women, assume that it's easier on guys because we're not emotional and it's easy for us and no big deal. And that's just not the case. We use yin and yang. We have our feminine energies as well, and keeping those things bottled up and not finding outlets for them, not finding support, is really unhealthy and detrimental to men, and ultimately, unfortunately, leads to suicide.
Yeah. And that's, we touched on that a little bit pre-interview as well. That's sort of huge rate, especially you guys having it in the US, but I'm sure it's not too much better over here. And it is, and obviously, different contributing factors, whether it's addiction or whatever, but divorce is going to be up there.
No question.
And I've been in your group, and again, it's Rising Phoenix. Is it Rising Phoenix something?
Rising Phoenix podcast. Yep.
Rising Phoenix podcast. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's just for men only. You have to answer a couple of questions and agree to the rules. But if you're going through this or you've been through it and you can offer some support, please join us.
And it's brilliant. I was checking out a live stream that you did, and Michael really is that sort of calm, like. What's the correct word? It's you've got emotional intelligence. You're not screaming at guys. You're a perfect sort of landing zone for them to come into, and because you've been there, and so you're saying, look, I know you're frustrated. I know you're upset. Like, get in here and we'll talk it out, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's all about sharing and allowing for emotions to be expressed, whatever that may be. There's definitely a tendency for the phrase "man up" to be thrown out there. That's not something that um, I find helpful.
No.
That's something I do not encourage. I don't think that that's helpful in any way. So
Yeah,
I
man up,
think,
man up should be
yeah,
like if you're sitting on the couch and you're too lazy to get a job. That's man
sure,
up. That's like go get it. Man up isn't. Yeah, it shouldn't ever be. Oh, come on, what you've got
right.
emotions. It's like, well, yeah, I'm a
Yes.
human. I'm
Yes,
human.
get
Yeah,
over it. That's a common one. Get over
yeah,
it. Man up. Be a man. Those types of things are not encouraged in my group. They're frowned upon.
yeah,
We have emotions going through this, especially. I mean, I've talked and interviewed guys that have made the decision themselves to get divorced
yeah,
because of toxic relationships, and excuse me, and it's difficult for them as well.
yeah,
Um, but I think it is definitely. I don't know if more. I don't know if there's a weight to it, but it is extremely difficult if it was not your decision.
yeah.
And if that's the case, you're going to have a host of emotions, and it's okay to have them. It's okay to express them, but I don't want guys to be shamed into not expressing them. To quote unquote man up, to hold it in is not the way forward. It will not allow you to properly heal.
It's almost like in the most basic way of that I conceptualize it myself. It's like there's something inside of you, like this emotion or whatever it is, and it has to be expressed. It
Yes.
will come out for
Yes.
certain. It will come out. So
Yes.
the best way to do is just to, like you say, be in an environment where you're supported, where you're talking to other guys who are going through something similar, or have been, like you said, it's even better because you can see,
Yeah.
okay, Michael over here, so and so over here, they've gone through it, and there is light
Yes.
at the end of the tunnel.
100%. And there, in the beginning of it, you feel so hopeless. You
Yeah,
feel so worthless. You're rejected
yeah.
by someone that you loved. They leave. You're alone. Then there's the financial aspects and all that. There's so much to
Your
this.
kids are torn
And
away from you.
yes, your kids are absolutely, even if you get 50-50, that's still 50% less than you had before.
Yeah,
So it's all an adjustment. It's a search for a new identity, which is difficult because if you lived a certain way for so long, that's your identity, that's who you are. Then, and when that goes away, who are you then? And it's confusing, it's hurtful. What did you do wrong? And you beat yourself up and you question yourself. And then on top of that, you're not even allowed to really express that. You're supposed to man up and get over it.
yeah.
It's a hurtful time. That's why, and the numbers are staggering in the US. 38 men a day, 38 divorced men a day kill themselves. Now there's nuance to that data. I don't know what that is. Could they have been drug addicts, and maybe there were other factors, or who knows?
But
But
that
the fact
divorce is
is that
contributing.
absolutely it's a factor. Now, how heavy, I don't know, but that's a staggering amount of men. 14,000 a year last year.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and it's no surprise because you just painted an unworkable equation there, don't you? It's
yeah.
like you go through this enormous amount of change, and if you're not if you're not allowed to express it, it's bad things are going to happen. So this is why it's vital to have groups like yourselves. And yeah, I mean, I don't know obviously how much detail you want to go into or whatnot, and we can not
Sure.
talk about it at all. But in terms of, I'm luckily enough in a happy relationship at the moment, and how does it feel? Like, what is it like? What was the process of what?
So my
A
story
big
is,
question. So do as much as you want.
yeah, no, I don't mind. I'm an open book. If you listen to episode 1 of my podcast, it breaks down my story.
Okay.
Um, the truth is so I was married I'm still married technically. We're in negotiations, which is another headache for another time. Um, we had a up and down, as all couples do. We had rocky moments in our marriage, but I always felt like we came to we came through them. We went through them. Um, but she wasn't properly expressing herself, and when I felt like we were getting through something, she was just burying it. And I'm not completely blaming her. I probably not probably I often did not provide her the space to express these things. I don't know that I could have done anything different than I did. I don't know if I would have provided her space, she would have shared anyway. I don't know, but I know that I didn't. So I have to take ownership of that. Um, But long story short, we had a adventurous sex life, and there were other men involved in it. Not for
Okay.
me, for her, and it evolved from
Interesting.
just a sexual thing into she wanted to spend some time with someone one on one,
Wow.
and that basically led to a wedge being driven into our marriage. I don't think that was the only factor, but if I had to put a number on it, I would say it was at least 50% because
Yeah.
suddenly now she had an out, so to speak. And I don't think it was nefariously planned. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know, but she had an out. So she wouldn't be alone. She could leave and have someone, at
Yeah.
least in her mind. And
Yeah.
so having those feelings that she had, I believe, made her feel guilty.
Right.
Knowing that we're a family, knowing that I'm her husband, and I think she felt guilty. And so what she started to do is to accumulate all these negative things about me to help her justify what she was thinking, and feeling. She was having feelings for this guy. Well, he sucks anyway. Like, I'm boiling it down to the basics, but that's essentially what happened. I mean, she said some really mean and heinous things at the end in order to help herself move on. She told me that she didn't love me, and she don't think she ever loved me. And at that
Oh,
point, we were together for 15 years. So it was
that
very,
can't be
very
true, though,
hurtful.
can it? That can't be true.
No, I don't think so. I mean,
No.
how sad if it is for her, and for
Exactly.
and for our children, quite
Exactly.
frankly.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think that could possibly be true.
no, I don't think so. But that was very hard to hear, that stuff, and that wasn't the only thing.
Of
There were other
course.
things, but that's sort of the big one. So at
That
that
is big.
point, initially, um, so we went on vacation. We took a really nice cruise around the Greek Isles. We spent 3 days, I think, in Rome, Italy. It was beautiful. Well, it would have been. But slightly before that, she had decided she was going to cut it off with this gentleman because I wasn't digging it. I didn't like it. Like, she would go out on dates with him, and I just
And
I
just sorry
go
to
ahead.
no, but just to set the scene
Sure.
correctly, you're not doing this with other women at the time, or
No,
no?
no. And there's childhood things there as to why I like what I like, and that's for another
Yeah,
podcast, perhaps.
sure. Yeah. No,
But
everyone's yeah. Sure.
it was not for me. It was not like a way to get other women in the bedroom. It was all for her.
Okay.
And I mean, I should say, the physical part of it was all for her. I enjoyed being there. I enjoyed filming. It
Sure.
was like, I was making my own porns, quite frankly. But it wasn't for me. And it was a decision we made together, and we did it for about 4 or 5 years with two different guys, and then this guy came along. So
Wow.
long story short, she told me she had cut it off with him right before we went on vacation. Well, maybe like a couple of weeks before vacation. Well, it turns out she either did that in order for me to say, no, it's okay, you can still see him, or she just couldn't go through with it. But she didn't stop talking with him. I don't know if she's seen him in that time period. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when we came back from vacation, actually right before we came back from vacation, before we stepped foot in the Vatican, which was made that whole visit not very memorable, she told me she probably wanted a divorce. And then
Wow.
so I'm distraught, and I'm like trying to figure out, like, it's got to be this guy, and she's saying no, it's not him, and I'm thinking, well, what, all these things that I did wrong, and I'm trying to, like, how can I fix this? How can, we're men, that's what we like to do. What tool do I need to fix this?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so for a long time, well, I shouldn't say a long time, for about 2 weeks, I was just, I was kicking myself. Like, I was beating myself up severely. Like, what is wrong with me? How could I screw this up? I love this woman. These, it's a family, my children. And, I was just completely just depressed. But there was also a part of me that was in my heart, in my bones, in my gut. I knew that this guy was still involved. And so I sort of started to dig, and I found the phone records that indicated she was texting with this guy a lot. And so at that point, when I confronted her, on a Sunday, I'll never forget it. She finally admitted it, that yes, she was still talking with him, and yes, she had feelings for him. And that was part of our agreement, was, if you have feelings for someone, you got to let me know. Fine, you want to go out and date some men. Okay, I love you. You're coming home. That's fine. Do your thing, but You just be honest. So at that point, she finally admitted, which of course made me angry because I was like, what? We had an agreement. You were supposed to tell me this before this. And then that was on a Sunday, and then I think Tuesday morning. So 2 days later, there's a lot of just I didn't want to talk to her. I was very upset. Tuesday morning, I said to her, you're going to call him and you're going to cut it off, and I'm going to listen, and you're going to do that tonight. 20 minutes later, she told me she was moving out.
Wow.
So she left on that day, July 26th or 23rd. So 20 days after coming back from vacation. And 3 days later, she filed for divorce. Once she initially left, I didn't do any begging or groveling. I did initially before she left, like before I knew. Once I found out that I was being lied to, I had a sense of sort of peace, but I still didn't want it to happen. I guess I felt vindicated because
you had your intuition and it would have nagged at you, but now you'd find out that you were right about that.
Yes, I was right. I knew it, and there was some kind of small victory there. So I didn't go begging, but I did say to her on a few occasions, come home. This is damaging to the children. We can work it out. But I was never grovelly and like, oh, please, please. I wasn't going to do that because I have some self-respect, believe it or not. And I didn't feel like that was necessary. Like I'm a great father. Even she had said that, and probably still does. I don't know, who cares. But I was a fairly good husband. I didn't cheat on her. I didn't beat her. I didn't gamble away our money. Like, I made good money. I have a good job. So I didn't feel like I needed to grovel and beg. But once, I'm trying to remember at what point, but at a certain point, I was just like, I miss her, but I'm never going to tell her that. I love her, but I'm never going to tell her that. I'm done. Like I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to look at her. It was just too painful. And I made the decision that there was no going back, and I can't possibly disrespect myself in that manner, even though I still miss her and still missed her. And, even now there is a little bit of that. There's still some residual. I mean, I was with her for 15 years, I married her, I put a ring on her finger. But at a certain point, I sort of held on to my anger and eventually tried to look for better ways to heal myself. And, that, long story short, that's what led me to doing the podcast and the Facebook group. And it has been incredibly helpful and healing to me to help other men, because I am further along. I still have my struggles. I still have my hurts and my pains. I still sometimes cry significantly over, I think at this point it's more the loss of my children being in my life every single day. I love my kids a lot. And not, there's moments where I will, like, my daughter will forget something here and I'll have to run it over to her mother's place. And I'll leave there just so sad because I'm leaving my children. It's a weird, like, why am I leaving my children? Like, those are my children. Like, I'm a good father. It's not like, I'm a shit father and there's good reason for them not to be around me. That's not the case at all. But I struggle with that. I struggle with all aspects of it. It's damaging to your self-worth, to your self-esteem, to your identity, it just destroys your world. And that's why when I started thinking about what to do moving forward, I just kept getting this thought and this feeling of rising up and being a phoenix. And that's why I chose the name that I chose.
That is such a good name. You know what though, Mike, because it's funny, isn't it? Because it's like you started this group, and I think you are basically, because of your temperament and because of what's happened to you, it's like you're the perfect person to do it, because it's like your story is just like you did nothing morally wrong at any point. You had choices that you made in the bedroom and stuff that probably I wouldn't necessarily do, but
Sure.
that, and like you said, that might be a contributing factor, but there's no, you never, like you say, it's not drugs, it's not gambling, it's not drinking too much, it's not beating her, it's not, it's not being a neglectful father. It's like you're acing all of these things, which so many of us struggle with, and then just rug gets pulled out from underneath you, and it's, your world gets turned upside down. And it's kind of like the archetypal story of a good guy who gets divorced, and that's why I think that's what led you to do what you do. But it's just, I mean, because it's just, that's what would be going around my head over and over. It's just like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And your brain's trying to find it, and it's like, well, so if we're in agreement that it was nothing morally you did wrong, I mean, is there lessons that you would have took from that you would, is there anything that you would do differently if you were still married, or go back in time or anything?
100%. Yeah, I have learned a lot about myself, a lot about my flaws, a lot about some of the things that I did that were detrimental. So growing up, I had I'm sure there were people that had worse childhoods, but from an emotional standpoint, I had a pretty bad childhood. My mother, it was and is not a very nurturing, loving mother. She was definitely the kind that would tell me, if you don't stop crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about. I brought you into this world, I'll take you out.
Wow.
It was very emotionally abusive. And, she was 20 years old when she had me. So, if I would have had a kid at 20, I don't know that I would have done any better, but not that that's an excuse, but it is a fact. I grew up in a very chaotic, mentally difficult, and challenging environment. And the way that I dealt with that, as I started to get older, was I would turn them off. Particularly my mother. Like, I would give the silent treatment, and it wouldn't just be, I wouldn't talk, I wouldn't even hear you. Like, you can't hurt me if I can't hear you. You can't hurt me if I don't interact with you. And so I took that into my adulthood, because that's what I used as a protection mechanism. If someone was, mentally, verbally abusing me, I would silent treatment it, like a lock and key. It was done. And I took that into my adulthood. I took that into my marriage. And, because of her own dynamics, that was incredibly hurtful to her. But I didn't do it to hurt her. I did it to protect me. So if she did something to hurt me, instead of me expressing that fact, I would just not talk to her. And that's not fair to her. And she has her own issues of codependency. And so not being talked to by someone who's codependent is incredibly hurtful and scary. But I didn't have any of that knowledge. I didn't have any of that self-reflection to be able to look at what were my actions causing. So 100%, I don't want to say I'll never do it again, because I haven't been in a relationship since. I mean, I dated, and I had a small relationship of a couple of months, and I had a lot of casual sex. But I haven't been in a relationship in order to challenge myself. So, but my hope is that I will never do that type of silent treatment, avoiding topics again. I need to face those things, and to have those difficult conversations, and to say, even though I'm a man, you hurt me when you did X, Y, and Z, and I don't want you to do that again, instead of just cutting them off. So that is one thing I definitely learned.
It's a skill, isn't it? Definitely, to be able to sit your partner down and just go, look, that wasn't right, and we've got to talk about it, and calmly. And then it's like the natural reaction I found, and it's do you like Bill Burr, the comedian?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Bill Burr.
I thought you might. Yeah. You got a similar sort of style.
Yeah.
But he talks about that, and but it's just that sort of that. Look, when it comes time to have an important conversation with your woman, it's like no shouting, no screaming, obviously, and just like, look, we've just got to get this across, and you just keep it within this rigid box, and it's just like, look, we're discussing this right now, and it's like, and then I mean, because a lot of what we do at Ghost, and what we're going to go on and do is, well, firstly, I want to teach guys to become attractive in the first place, and then from there, it's like, okay, but what do you do? I don't know. That might be I think I've just. That's okay, cool. What do you do then to make a marriage work, or make a long-term relationship work? And these sort of things are paramount. And I think there is, I mean, obviously you can't get too general, but there are things like a general female nature. There is a male female nature.
Yeah.
There is, I mean, you can't get too down the rabbit hole with this stuff, but there is hypergamy exists. But I mean, it's a model. It's not a way to get depressed and say, oh, women are like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's abusive guys. It's one of those things.
Yeah, I think that that red pill sort of view is very limiting, and kind of depressing if you ask me.
Yeah.
If all women are out for the next best thing, then aren't we all?
I would call that black pill. So what you're describing there, I mean, just this is internet jargon that regular people shouldn't and don't need to know about. But black pill is like that. Yeah, like you're saying, like that very cynical. Yeah. Just like, well, what's even the point? Like women are like the MGTOW thing, all of that.
Yeah.
I'm more saying like it's just like there's just a way people are like and like you're flawed. I'm flawed. We're all flawed, and it's just about how do you navigate that and how do you. I mean,
yeah, I think that other view. I always called it red, but maybe it is black. But I think that particular type of view is very limiting and takes no responsibility. So if women are the enemy or whatever, or it's all their fault, well then, what does that leave you? Because you're not perfect. You're a human being too. So you're not going to work on yourself. You're not going to try and get better. We all have flaws, and we're not trying to be perfect, but we are trying to progress and be better humans as we go through this journey. But we can't do that if we don't take any responsibility. And I think that view, that Rollo Tomassi and Richard Cooper, and no offense to those guys, but they seem very bitter and very angry to me. And I don't see where there's room for growth there.
Yes, I mean, this is a branding thing for me because I completely agree with all of that. But I mean, I do still think that there are generalities that we could sort of look at. I mean, I think this is one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is I think that a lot of guys are in their relationship with their woman and they're just like, their mindset is like, well, it's like I'm the managing director and she's the managing director and I've got 50% and she does, and she's a rational person. And we're going to come to work, and it's like it's not that. You're not like the joint partner with another dude, and it's all rational conversation. It isn't that. It's much more like Well, I would say it's much more like, look, again, without the misogyny. So just take this model and take the misogyny out of it. But it's just you're the captain of the ship. You are the leader. You're the king. She's the queen. Like it's a partnership. But ultimately, she's looking at you to say, okay, what's happening? What's the plan? What are we doing?
Right. Yeah,
and I think there's a lesson to be learned there. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and I think there's some truth to that. I think it's each individual person in a relationship. Obviously, is different, and you're right. There are some generalities, but I think if you communicate with your partner that whatever housework is divvied up in a certain way, then whatever she wants to I shouldn't say that, not whatever she wants, but you have to have that discussion, like what do you want to lead in and what do you want to sort of take charge in, and what is she like finances, let's just say finances, and I won't talk about mine, it's not relevant, but let's just say you are married to an accountant and she wants to handle the finances. Okay, fine. If that's what she wants, as long as it's, it's all open and transparent and she's better with numbers and she's good at paying things on time and setting up automatic accounts and all that kind of shit. Great. Let her lead. If it's you that's better at that, then fine, you lead. But have that discussion and determine it, what's comfortable for you and her. That I think it's important to just communicate. I know it sounds so basic, but it's really boils down to just talk and figure out, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know hers, and she has to know hers. Things that I've never came across or never knew about until recently is things like boundaries and love languages. Like if I buy you gifts and that doesn't tickle your fancy, so to speak, then I'm wasting my money and my efforts. So what works for you, and vice versa. It's not just on you to figure out her, it's also on her to figure out you, and for you to communicate that. I didn't like gifts, I'd rather have physical touch or quality time, and I didn't know any of this before. So it's all a learning process. You have to know yourself, but you also have to know the other. And it is a shared communication that needs to occur in order to maintain a relationship.
Yes, yeah, and just if anyone's watching, they don't know what that's the 5 love languages, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it? And that is it is interesting. It's an interesting model to look at, and it's
It is.
because I mean, it's so much so that you almost want the person that you end up with to be aligned with yours.
Yes.
Because
That's much better.
Yes, yeah. I knew before I met my fiance that I'm a guy who I like affection. I like that,
Sure.
yeah, that physical touch, like you were saying, and it's like, and that was very important. And then once I found that, I was like, okay, well, that's that sorted. And then she turned out to be a cool girl as well. But yeah, it is interesting. It is definitely interesting. I mean,
yeah, there's many facets to it for sure, but you got to know yourself first and then know what you want. And that's what I've been doing lately, is trying to figure out, because if the next one I pick, gosh, I really want it to be the last one.
yeah.
And I can't do that if I don't know myself first. And so I know what to ask for, and I know what to look for, rather than just, oh, she's cute. You know, we have great sex and we kind of get along, and, you know, but no, not really diving deep into, you know, who we are as individual human beings. I think that's incredibly important.
Right. Well, man, I mean, Michael, it's been fascinating chatting with you. I think that's probably a good place to leave it. But
Yeah,
you've
it was
got
great, man.
yeah, thank you. I mean, just again, I do think your story it's unique, obviously, and but it is also, it's got that sort of archetypal nature about it. It's like the good guy who gets divorced and is just staring around like, just what the fuck has just happened?
Yeah,
And
it happens a lot,
happens a
unfortunately.
lot. Happens a lot. And instead of spiraling into addiction and potentially maybe suicide, people should check out someone like yourself and your
Thanks, man. I
Facebook and your
appreciate it.
podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the hope. Let's steer our men away from these dark paths, because they are there, and they're easy to access and easy to take. It's easy to become an alcoholic. It's easy to become a philanderer. It's easy to become you know, one of the guys who leaves us by his own hands. So my hope is that we can prevent some of that, at least.
Well, it definitely, from what I've seen of your group, that definitely seems to be the case so far. So I mean, that's something, isn't it? The pain that you took on, at least a decent amount of positivity is coming out of that.
Yeah, it gives us some meaning, some sense for me.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, thank you again, and yeah, I'd be keen to do this again in the future. And
Absolutely.
Also, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, if there's anything that was interesting in this conversation, we're still on a new channel. So if you ask a question, I'll definitely get back to you. If you can like and you sub and blah blah blah, all of that stuff, that's great too. And Michael's podcast again is the Rising Phoenix podcast, and that's a group on Facebook, and then obviously a podcast.
Yep. So, and we're I'm on all the major podcast networks. So yeah, check it out. Apple, Google, all those.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, thank you very much, mate. I will click off record now. Cheers.
All right.